So I'm Mo O'Hara, author of My Big Fat Zombie Goldfish and Romeo, Source, and Juliet Rex and various picture books. And I am here this afternoon with...
I'm Candy Gourlay, and I am the author of Bone Talk, Tall Story, Shine.
Such happy books.
Isn't a mermaid?
So we're here to talk to you guys today because you may or may not know, Candy and I run the Pulse strand, which is for SUBWI members who are published. So we wanted to do something to help the published members who have books coming out at this really, really difficult time.
Yeah. It's a little bit selfish, isn't it, Mo? Because both of us have had books come out recently. And, you know, so much for book launches.
Having an actual physical launch where you were selling copies of your books, you were seeing your friends, you were seeing your work colleagues. So Candy and I put our heads together and thought, what can we do?
Well, what we could do is take our members who have books coming out, the Scooby Facebook group, where we have all of these book lovers, and they're not necessarily Scooby members, who will be interested in your book, who will want to know about the process of how your book was published.
Yeah, and who will celebrate with you as well, who will be there on your joyful journey as you go, yay, this is this cool thing that we made, and we want to celebrate it together. So we both have books coming out within like 2 weeks of each other. We decided we would be book launch buddies, and we would do this video together as a kind of prototype to talk about our books and get the word out there. And if any of you guys want to team up with a book launch buddy, you can get in contact with us.
Most book that has just come out is a gorgeous, gorgeous book called The Legend of King Arthur.
Arthuratops.
Arthuratops.
Arthuratops. Like Triceratops, but Arthuratops.
Arthuratops. and it's illustrated by Andrew Joyner. It's a beautiful book. Look at that. And so congratulations, Mo.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited. It's out with HarperCollins. It's with Harper 360 in this country. And it was edited by the truly, truly lovely Jill Davis in New York and illustrated by Andrew Joyner in Australia. So truly transcontinental project putting this book together. And it is the second book in a kind of two-book thing that I did with HarperCollins, which was my agent Gemma and I like to call the Jurassic Classics. So we did we did Romeosaurus and Juliet Rex, because, you know, obviously a herbivore and a carnivore, should they be friends? Can they find true love? So that was the first one. And then we wanted to do another mashup of classics with dinosaurs. And I always loved the Arthurian legends. I have always been a complete nerd about, you know, all the stories of Arthur and Lancelot and Guinevere and Merlin. And I also really like dinosaurs. So I kind of thought they would go well together. Maybe that's just me. So
it's amazing. And also, you know, Andrew Joyner draws dinosaurs so well.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and funny. So funny, so funny. I mean, little mustaches on dinosaurs. Who knew they can rock a mustache? They can totally rock the facial hair look. And Arthuratops is a little dinosaur who's a squire, and he doesn't want to be king. He just is a squire who's a little bit clumsy, but always really helpful and wants to help people out. And he pulls the horn out of the stone Rexcalibur. Get their T-Rex, Rexcalibur. And he becomes the one true king of Camelot, but he has to believe in himself to do it. And so it's all really about believing in the little guy and self-belief. And there's a little bit of what makes a good king. It's not that they're biggest and strongest. And I like those stories where the underdog or the underdino gets to do something. One of my favorite things, which is the end pages. Aren't these the most beautiful end pages? They're like the Bayeux tapestry with dinosaurs.
It's great. It's such a lovely read as well. I love what you did with Guinevere.
Yeah, Guinevere is a squire. She is not just like, oh, I'm going to be married off to whichever knight wants me or anything. She is training to be a squire as well. She's a bit like, Buffy and she's a raptor.
She's Buffy.
She's a velociraptor. She's like a Buffy of dinosaurs. She's blonde. Yeah.
I was a bit worried that you were going to go into that whole romance thing.
No. There's no romance in this. It's about three friends, Lancelot, Guinevere, and Arthur, and they all dino squires and they want to be dino knights.
Come on, so which character are you in this book?
I think I'm Arthur. Candy has a book that has just come out 2 weeks ago. Is it 2 weeks ago?
I was so busy being worried about the pandemic that I forgot that it came out.
It's cool, and it's in a series called First Names, and this is Ferdinand Magellan. So it's get to know the person on a first name basis. Is that the deal?
Yeah, that's the deal. So my publisher said we're doing a whole series of biographies that are like horrible histories. I'm used to taking years to write my novels, and suddenly I had to produce this thing in 2 months. I'm really, really pleased with the results. So the story of Magellan, he was one of those explorers from the 1500s. Europe was beginning to discover the rest of the world. Before that, they had these maps, and beyond the Atlantic Ocean, the map said, "Here be dragons." And that meant they didn't know what was there. The sailors literally believed that they would find monsters. He crossed the Atlantic Ocean because he believed that he could find a sea passage to the ocean beyond the Americas, which the Europeans had only just discovered. And it was a horrendous journey. It's an adventure. It's so exciting.
That's what I was really surprised at, was I really got hooked on, oh my gosh, are they going to get there? And what's going to happen to this person? And you drop us into little characters in the story, and the young boy that he takes on as his servant, I thought was a really interesting character.
Magellan was given a slave. He named the slave Enrique, and Enrique accompanied him around the world. And lo and behold, when they landed in a bunch of islands, just as they finished with the Pacific, Enrique could speak the language. And guess what the islands were? The islands were the Philippines, where I come from, which means Enrique must have been Filipino.
So he might have been captured from the Philippines, brought to this city in Malaysia. So he's actually the person who went around the world. It should say Enrique. Really?
Enrique may well have been the first man to circumnavigate the world. Magellan actually died in the Philippines, so he never finished his journey. And yet, to this day, we celebrate him as the man who encircled the world for the first time.
I think I said when I finished reading this, I was like, I think I learned more actual knowledge about this than I did in all my time in studying the explorers in school. And we spent a lot of time studying the explorers, but we didn't get any of the conflict. It was a glorification of the exploration.
I read a lot of books about Magellan, and they were all like, oh, the great Magellan, this brave man. And he really was brave, but at the same time, he was slightly foolhardy and slightly pathetic, which made him a more interesting character in my eyes.
Paranoid in lots of ways, that he was, looking out for, oh, these guys are out to get me, these guys are out to get me.
I kind of didn't blame him, because those guys really were out to get him.
There were people really out to get him.
Yeah, it's a great story, and I was when I started writing it, I thought that I knew everything about Magellan, but I discovered so many more things.
For a kid that's like stuck at home and is into fact books, it's actually very, very narrative. Like it is a fact book, and you will come out learning with a head full of stuff. And there's all kinds of cool little asides about a date or a map, and that's all really great because you can visually follow it through. Also, reading about places, when you're stuck in one place, reading about places that are the other side of the world is really nice.
My illustrator is Tom Knight, and he had to draw the ships as accurately as he could.
A kid that's into that will matter to them.
Yeah.
A kid that is into it will say, yes, because I looked up that on the internet, and that is that type of ship, and that could hold 60 people, and they said it did this, and
I talked a little bit in the book about where the sailors went to the toilet. because there are no toilets.
I remember that illustration.
The toilet is actually on the very top of the ship. There's a box, and then they have to sit on the box in full view of the seagulls and everyone else on the ship. I'm so glad I wasn't born in that time, and I'm so glad that I wasn't a sailor. So Tom Knight, thank you so much. Your illustrations are they're funny.
Funny and full of character. I just find it really funny that I can write something and then someone who has this amazing illustrative brain can draw these incredible things, and then they come back and you get the roughs and you go, oh my God, that came out of your head. So yeah, very lucky to be paired with such cool illustrators. And just, I hope that these books get out there into the world and get seen and get into the hands of kids. That's it from us. Please do get in touch with us on the Pulse email address. Stay well, stay safe. Bye.
Bye.